My dear geeklings, today I am feeling creepy, kooky, and altogether ooky. And a bit phlegmy. Time to bring out the old neti pot. Those things just look like you were trying to waterboard yourself in time for afternoon tea. Don't let the malls and stores fool you. Christmas isn't here yet. Halloween time has come once more, you spooky little bastards. There is a chill in the air and the leaves have turned pretty much everywhere else except fucking Miami. I guess what we lack in seasonal aesthetics we make up for with assloads of cocaine. One thing that I have always loved about this time of year is that the holiday programming is so varied and extensive. Sure, you have your Halloween staples, like it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. However, you will also see an influx in all things horror all along the dial. Decades upon decades of creeptastic programming that happened to be perfect for some All Hallows Eve viewing. So this year, we thought we would compile a top 10 list of shows perfect for in-between greeting trick-or-treaters at the door. Number 10 on our list, Supernatural. Fire up the 67 Impala and drive cross-country with the brothers Winchester as they hunt all things that go bump in the night. Supernatural, especially in its earlier seasons, was filled with genuinely unsettling moments. Now in its 10th year, many will argue that it has gone on a tad too long. I mean, Jesus, how many times do Sam and Dean have to die for each other? Though it has become a derivative of itself, the show is never not fun. Supernatural does a fantastic job at adapting and interpreting various myths and lore, including the Bible itself. The end result? Some truly freaky and entertaining stories. Coming in at number 9, Are You Afraid of the Dark? No, really, are you afraid of the dark? I'm asking a question. As kids, every Saturday night, we would sit our asses down on the couch and watch a 2-hour block of shows on Nickelodeon called Snick. And Are You Afraid of the Dark was the highlight of that block. The show centered around a group of kids that called themselves the Midnight Society, and every week they would get together around a campfire and one of the members would share a terrifying tale. The show literally freaked us the fuck out as kids. I just imagine the pussified youth of today's generation and I don't think a show like that would be able to air today. Those kids would probably get so traumatized that they would need professional help. The whole series has recently become available to stream on YouTube, and many of the episodes still hold up. For fuck's sakes, we are grown-ass adults now. Even today, we are not immune to old ghost stories and the frightening memories they make us relive. Number 8, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. In 1997, the WB network was just getting off the ground, and original programming was fairly lackluster. Enter Joss Whedon and a little television series based on a cult film from earlier in the decade. You cannot argue Buffy the Vampire Slayer's contribution to weekly episodic television, detailing the paranormal activities of a slayer named Buffy and her friends affectionately known as the Scooby Gang. Buffy was the big bang that created the entire Whedonverse. It exposed audiences to Joss's knack for crafting terrifically well-written and realistic characters, despite the situations they would find themselves in. The show had balls and took chances like featuring the first lesbian couple on TV. Oh yeah, and they were also witches. Badass. Buffy was and is one of the most beloved shows with a rabid fan base, and is the key reason why Whedon was entrusted with Marvel's most precious franchise. Coming up at number 7, The X-Files. X-Files was a pop culture phenomenon, often imitated, never duplicated. It added such hallmark phrases like "the truth is out there" and "I want to believe" into the daily lexicon. Not to mention that instantly recognizable, eerie-ass theme song. Yo ass is eerie. The series centered around FBI agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, who investigated mysterious cases that revolved around extraterrestrial and paranormal circumstances. The series is famous for the chemistry and oh-so-palpable sexual tension between Mulder and Scully. The dynamic between the easygoing, open-minded Mulder and the frustratingly skeptical and rigid Scully was the heart and soul of the show. For fuck's sake, though, all that shit that Scully saw go down and she was still that skeptical? What the fuck did she need? A bunch of aliens, ghosts, and monsters appearing at her doorstep with a 12-pack and a pot roast? Trick or treat, bitch. We're real. Have my pot roast. You'll like it. Depending on who you are either dreading or fantasizing about the impending zombie apocalypse. No other horror subgenre has struck oil the way zombies have, and as a society, we have been obsessed with the undead brain eaters since George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. The worst part about a zombie flick is that they inevitably end. Thankfully, Robert Kirkman cured that for us with a little comic book called The Walking Dead. Developed for TV by Frank Darabont, The Walking Dead has become one of AMC's flagship shows. It has helped transform the network into the powerhouse it is now. The Walking Dead is the best look at what surviving a worldwide pandemic would actually be like. It is a look into the minds of the best and worst of humanity. Zombies are one thing, but the old saying, "Don't fear the dead, fear the living," certainly rings true. American Horror Story is the newest show to make the list at number 5, but only by a year. Created by Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk, AHS functions as a long-form horror anthology series. Every season functions as its own self-contained story. So far, we have had the original AHS, which has recently been referred to as Murder House, Asylum, Coven, and now we are in the middle of Freak Show. AHS pushes the boundaries between the shocking, grotesque, disturbing, and sexy. The biggest thing it has going for it is a varied and talented ensemble cast with actors like Jessica Lange, Zachary Quinto, and Evan Peters. Each series will see many of the previous actors return in completely different roles, giving them the ability to flex their acting chops. Before Paris Hilton got famous for night vision blowies, she hosted a little show on HBO called Tales from the Crypt. Just kidding. The Crypt Keeper is infinitely more charming and has contributed a fuck ton more to society. This early slice of HBO programming was inspired by the 50s horror comics of the same name. The now iconic Crypt Keeper himself was a morbidly cynical little bastard whose own unique brand of levity bookended each spooktacular tale. Episodes of Tales from the Crypt were always full of famous faces from the worlds of music, movies, and TV. The series' original HBO airing was immune to network censorship standards, and because of that, it remains the horror anthology with the most blood, gore, sex, nudity, and violence, perhaps of all time. This next show goes great with a slice of cherry pie and a damn fine cup of coffee, black as midnight on a moonless night. Set in a fictional small town in the Pacific Northwest, Twin Peaks is the brainchild of Mark Frost and David Lynch. Its central mystery revolved around FBI agent Dale Cooper's investigation into the murder of homecoming queen Laura Palmer. However, it becomes apparent that all is not what it seems in this quiet little town, which is home to an insanely bizarre cast of characters. For instance, the log lady. Yeah, a lady with a pet log. The influence of David Lynch and the show's tendency to veer into the strange and paranormal makes it one of the creepiest television series of all time. If you need any proof of this, need look no further than any scene that takes place in the Black Lodge. It has recently been announced that after a 25-year absence, the show will return for a third season on Showtime in 2016. Maybe now we will get an answer to the last question. How's Annie? Our second to last is Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Decades before the Crypt Keeper introduced sordid tales of intrigue and terror, the master of suspense himself held that role. Alfred Hitchcock Presents was a benchmark for thriller anthologies. Each episode would begin with Alfred Hitchcock's rotund silhouette and the funeral march of a marionette, the tune that became synonymous with the director. He would appear on screen and address the audience in his trademark bellowing voice.
Good evening.
Before presenting the audience with the tale of the week. The original series ran from 1955 to 1962, and Alfred Hitchcock himself sat in the director's chair for 17 of those episodes. Remember when the word Twilight meant horror instead of horrible? Well, this last series on our list has been submitted for your approval. Talk about iconic theme songs. I doubt there has been a more recognizable and referenced theme song in the history of television. Rod Serling's Twilight Zone was and remains the absolute cornerstone for science fiction and horror on television. The Twilight Zone used the supernatural and the fantastical as a means for social commentary for larger issues such as the very nature of mankind. Serling was a visionary writer who adapted and penned most of the Twilight Zone's original run. He was very opposed to the ideas of censorship and strongly desired to push TV beyond the constraints of the time. Ideas, of course, that still ring true today. So, what will you folks be binge watching as you shovel handfuls upon handfuls of candy down your craw? Did we miss any of your favorite creeptastic shows? As always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and thriller dance your way to aggressivecomics.com for all the latest and greatest in geeky news. Till next time, boys and ghouls, happy Halloween, and stay spooky, my friends. I think I'm gonna get me some Girl Scout cookies, made from actual Girl Scouts.